The last 3 episodes of Tuned, I have driven the fastest car I've ever driven, the fastest car I've ever driven, and the fastest car I've ever driven. There's only so long you can keep that up. And last week, the Hennessy Venom GT was certainly impressive to say the least. Now we're gonna be driving some more Hennessy cars this season, as well as some of the big East Coast tuners like Titan, Hefner, Rentec, and some other really cool stuff. Now today we find ourselves in Opelika, Alabama, the heart of NASCAR country. So you might expect big block Chevys and crazy Fords and stuff, but no, because this building looks like it was designed in Germany. And that's because here they do German cars. In fact, this is the most famous tuner for the Audi Volkswagen brand. So, welcome to APR. Anyone who knows Audis knows the name APR. And that's because they do it all, from ECU tunes to Stage 3 turbo kits to full-on Grand Am racers. With this company, getting power is as simple as ordering an appetizer from a menu. Their facility feels as out of place as a ski resort in the South Pacific, a clean, modern mecca of German performance in the American Deep South. Practically everything they sell is designed and manufactured in-house from this building. Audi made its name racing 5-cylinder powered cars, and it was those cars that inspired APR's founders to begin tuning cars. And now, 8 years after the last 5-cylinder S4 landed on these shores, the 5-banger returns, this time under the hood of the TTRS. And we can't wait to see what APR has done with it. You know, I've never actually driven any TTRS before, so I don't really have a good basis of comparison, but the TTRS is a $57,000 car, comes with a turbocharged 5-cylinder engine and all-wheel drive, of course. It does 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds and has 360 horsepower. So that's the basic car. Now this is their development car, so the product is not out yet. So what we're doing is actually kind of helping them test it, giving them feedback, letting them know what we like about the car, what we don't like about the car. They have outfitted this car with a Stage 3 turbo upgrade, and for that you get obviously new manifolds, you get intercoolers stuff, you get exhaust, presumably some sort of high flow CAT system. And what that all adds up to is, and I kid you not here, 600 horsepower. 600 out of 2.5 liters. And that's because the turbocharger they use is at 71 millimeters. So, let's see what happens when I put my foot in. Oh yeah, does it go. Wow. I'm not going to tell you how fast that was, because I'd probably go to jail, but it's got the go juice, for sure.
The attraction, honestly, was the motorsport success that Audi had in the 80s and early 90s with their 5-cylinder turbos, first with rallying and then ultimately road racing when they built kind of some fire-breathing 5-cylinder monsters, and they had all-wheel drive, which at the time was, you know, a pretty revolutionary concept on a street car. We have a 2.5 liter 5-cylinder turbo that started life at about 340 horsepower. And at this point right now, it's just about touching 600 horse with our Stage 3 application. We do Stage 3 turbo kits, which are bolt-on kits for almost every engine we're involved with. This has been in development about 8 months. Probably will be on the market in another 4 to 6 months as all the production pieces start arriving and all that kind of stuff. But again, it incorporates the stuff that APR is famous for, which is bulletproof reliability, drivability very similar, if not better than the OEM, and of course horsepower and torque that take your breath away.
They measured this car at a 0 to 60 run of 2.8 seconds, which is the same as a Porsche Turbo or a Bugatti Veyron if we're counting. Because this car is the development car again, it does still have a stock clutch on it, and they do recommend that if you're going to do this power kit, you probably want to upgrade the clutch. So I've agreed to shift properly but I did say I was going to do one hard launch. So let's do one and hope the clutch doesn't explode. $4,000 I'll dump it from. Yeah, it goes. It really goes good. Because this is a Haldex type system with the 4-wheel drive, transverse engine, and not a true quattro system like the S4 or the R8, it's front-wheel drive bias, and it never sends any more than 50% of the power to the rear wheels any one time. But under load, it will send power to the rear wheels up to 50%. One of the things that I really like about APR as a company is everyone I've talked to, everyone who's used their products, really talks about reliability, usability, and the fact that they're not worried to install them on their car and ruin the car's reliability. And with an expensive car, you really don't want that. And so they are confident that even pushing 600 horsepower through this relatively small engine, that's not a problem. That you could drive this car 100,000 to 200,000 miles and really not have any issues with it at all. And I really like that.
We got the kit testing in South Africa. We got it tested in Europe, and Australia, and here on importers' cars and our own R&D car. So we're racking up the miles in different climates. Like in South Africa, we're getting hot weather testing there, and we're getting high altitude testing because Johannesburg is well above a mile. You know, when we're looking at Europe, we're looking at wet and cold weather climates, both in Scandinavia and in England. So we're getting that. Also, we do testing on the Autobahn and on the Nürburgring as well with our German importer. Even though many times we're doubling the horsepower and torque, we're still able to sell something and the customer's able to drive it and come back and say, you know, I put 120,000 miles in this kit. I've changed the oil. That's really all I've done. And that's critical, because if we don't do that, then, you know, that's going to come back and bite, you know, everything we're trying to do and ultimately give our customers bad experiences. And that's not what we're doing here.
Because we're talking relatively small displacement and you know, relying on boosts to make that power, it is laggy. So you don't really get a whole lot of power underneath about 3,500 RPM. Here's first gear. It goes from 4,000 to 7,000 RPM so fast. The power band is not as wide as a Porsche Turbo, but in the upper part of the power band, you know, above 4,000 RPM, it's absolutely Porsche Turbo quick. I mean, it's very, very fast. There's nothing better than driving a car that someone thinks is a girly car and then doing a roll-on pull with them and just destroying them. I mean, this car will smoke my Corvette. No, I mean, my manly, testosterone-filled, nutsack red Corvette will absolutely get smoked by this little gray, pill-colored Audi TT. I think probably the coolest thing about this car is what a sleeper it actually is, not only from a performance standpoint, but from a usability standpoint. You know, just a few years ago, 600 horsepower in a street car would be ridiculous. It wouldn't be drivable, it would be rough, it would be a heavy clutch, it would be loud. This isn't anything like that. It's civilized, it's quiet. If your foot isn't in it, it feels just like a regular car. And then you mat it to the floor and you've got performance, you know, rivaling a 911 Turbo or an R8 even for what will probably end up being half the price. And just 23 pounds of boost through a 5-cylinder engine, you're making 560 at the tires. It's crazy. And it looks completely stock. It's brilliant. I love it. So thanks to APR for having me down here in Alabama, letting me drive their car. We got a lot more tuned coming up this season. We are off to Florida after this. Can't wait to see what we come up with next. Oh, and if you want one of these awesome Drive t-shirts in black, blue, or that heinous yellow color that JF likes to wear, go to driveshirts.com. Get yourself one. Peace.